I'm in the transformation from being 135 pounds at 17 to 4 years later. This morning, I got out of bed and I stepped on the scale and I weighed 179.8 pounds. Since the beginning, my goal was always to weigh 180 pounds. I literally, when I started, I pulled up my phone and I Googled 150-pound physique and I looked at the images and I scrolled through them and I was like, that's too skinny. I looked up 160-pound physique. I scrolled through the images and I was like, it's still too skinny. Looked up 170-pound physique, scrolled through the images. It's a little bit better, but it's still kind of too skinny. And then I looked up 180-pound physique, scrolled through the images, and I was like, that's the one. That's the one I want. My bulk has been like a 4-year continuous bulk because I'm a hard gainer. Most guys go through like 3-month bulking periods where they gain a bunch of weight and then they cut down. But I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of stupid mistakes. I have literally, all of the the bullshit excuses that apply to like guys who are trying to bulk but they can't gain weight, and so they come up with like bullshit excuses like, oh, I've got the skinny gene, I've got really high metabolism, whatever. Like all of those excuses, every single one, 100% of them are applicable to me. They're all valid to me, and yet I hit my goal. In this video, I'm going to try and transfer that victory over to you by sharing some of the lessons that I've learned along the way so that you can bulk up and hit your goal as well. I can't explain the feeling to you. It feels amazing to be like not near like victim weight anymore, right? To like be at my goal and like excited to blow past it. That's what I want for you. Like I want you to be at your goal and then being like, okay, I could achieve even more if I wanted to. So yeah, take this video very seriously. Focus, pay attention, listen to what I'm telling you, because I promise you by the end of this video you'll have like all of my knowledge on bulking, like all of like the golden nuggets of knowledge on bulking. You'll be able to do it like perfectly if you follow the stuff in this video. You'll understand like some of the like some really good advice, you'll understand some of the bad advice that's given to bulkers and stuff like that. So yeah, pay attention, watch the video to the end. The number one thing that you have to do is track 100% of your meals with no exceptions. I think this is honestly the biggest part, because anytime I wasn't tracking my meals, anytime I would go through a period where I was just trying to eat a lot without quite understanding what I was eating, right? The calorie count, the macros, stuff like that, I never gained weight. In fact, I normally backslid on my goals during those periods. I normally like lost weight during those periods. In the beginning, it's fine to just eat more and add a protein shake to your diet, because you know how they say like within the first year, you're going to make most of your weight gain or most of your muscle gain, your strength gain. That's because during the first year, you're going from 0 to 1, which is, okay, I'm not working out at all, to my body suddenly has to activate these systems of like mind muscle connection and muscle repair and stuff like that. So you're going to get your most gains during that first year. But after that first year, you can't rely on that's kind of like the easy gains, right? What you have to do is really meticulously track all of your meals, especially for us hard gainers. And the reason why is, if you have a hard time gaining weight, you're probably overestimating the amount of calories that you are eating. And what we need in order to gain weight properly is, importantly, data. Let's imagine we're running an experiment, okay? What kind of scientific experiment just doesn't track results? Let's say we wanted to take a group of people and we wanted to feed them more in order to see how much weight they gain. But we don't track weight every single day. What kind of study is that, right? It wouldn't be respected at all in the scientific community. Would it even have like a result if you didn't track the weight every single day? You wouldn't know how much weight they were actually gaining. And so you can't expect to bulk correctly if you're not tracking how much you're eating, right? So data is extremely valuable for this. I used to not take this seriously. If you're like, I don't need to track 100% of my meals, I completely understand, because I used to be there. I used to not believe that tracking was important, right? But I soon realized, as soon as I started doing it, just how important it was, right? A lot of these periods where I thought I was eating enough, it turns out that I just wasn't. So if you really want to bulk, you're gonna have to do the hard thing. I know it's like inconvenient. It kind of sucks. You got to be consistent, but you have to track 100% of your meals. What I want you to do is download an app, popular app called MyFitnessPal. You probably know about it already, but basically you can just log all of your foods for free. You just go to whatever meal you're eating, and then you can click add log of food, and then you can search up the name of the food and then add it to your meal. And that'll give you a bunch of data. It'll give you calories, it'll give you macros. But importantly, I want you to focus on tracking macros over calories. I know a lot of people say in the fitness space, like, all that matters is calories in, calories out, right? Just focus on getting enough calories during the day. That's absolute bullshit. Maybe it works for some people. For me, nah, doesn't work at all. I remember a period of my bulking journey where I was at a plateau. I think it was around 170 pounds. And I wasn't gaining any weight at all. In fact, I was losing weight during that period. But I was getting enough calories in during the day. So that's interesting, right? I was hitting my calorie goal every single day, but I was actually losing weight. And I remember I was working out during this period of my bulking journey. And I was like on the squat rack or something like that, right? And I was extremely frustrated at this because I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And I thought to myself, well, let me just pull out my phone and open up MyFitnessPal and look at my macros to see if anything's off. Pulled up my phone. Of course, my calories were fine. Look at my macros. You can find this page by exploring a little bit on the app. And then I would flip back through the days because you can see your history. And I noticed that I was never hitting my protein goal. A, I was getting pretty close, but I was never quite hitting my protein goal. And B, I wasn't even getting close to my carb goal at all. My carbs were like, they wouldn't even fill up like 50% of the bar of the goal for the day. And I was like, oh shit, like I'm eating enough calories now. I can see that. But this is why I'm not gaining weight. So I don't want you to focus on calories at all. I know people like to use calories, and even if like you can focus on calories and then gain weight through that, like it won't hurt to track your macros instead, because if you get your macros correct, you're gonna hit your calorie goal pretty easily. Like when I started fixing my macros, I didn't have to worry about my calorie goal at all because I would always just blow past it, right? I would eat like a lot more calories when I was focused on my macros, and I started to gain weight because I had fixed my macros. So yeah, the lesson there is don't track calories, track macros. Now I want to move on to kind of some bad advice in the bulking niche, right? And that is that you should just eat whatever, dirty bulk, and you're gonna gain weight. I've gotten this advice from several people. Sometimes it was like a YouTube video on a guy that like didn't really know how to bulk or whatever, or like had good genetics and could put on weight real easy. Or it was like someone in the gym in person, right? When I would make conversation about bulking and how it was going and my struggles, and they would be like, dude, just eat whatever you can. Just drink a bunch of chocolate milk, eat a bunch of donuts, you'll gain weight. Easy. I did it. Trust me, it works. I'm going to tell you that's the worst piece of advice that you could possibly follow. Don't follow that. The number one reason is not because those foods do not make you gain weight. They will. The reason is, A, any weight that you do gain will likely be fat that you'll just have to cut off later, so it's a waste. And B, there's a lower level of control, and you might not gain weight. So let me explain that. Okay, hold on. When I was going through a period where I was just trying to eat like as much crap as I possibly could, right? I would go to fast food places, try and buy like the highest calorie items, stuff like that, right? What I found was my weight actually like backslid during that period. It went down because I didn't have as high a level of control over the meals, right? Here's my like controversial opinion. Clean bulking is easier than dirty bulking. Not only like is it better, right? But it's also easier. And the reason I think that is because when you try to do this dirty bulk thing where I'm just gonna let myself have, free whatever, and just eat whatever I want to, and that way I'm gonna gain weight. It's not as reliable as knowing all of your meals, cooking them with whole foods, and basically like you can orchestrate all of your meals so you know you're going to hit your macros every single day. Whereas I couldn't do that. I couldn't control what the fast food place put on my sandwich per se. All I could do was order it and hope that it was like high enough calories, high enough macros to help me to bulk up. Most people start dirty bulking because of the attractive convenience factor, right? They think, okay, this is going to be way more convenient for bulking up. But I actually think it's honestly not that inconvenient to clean bulk if you do it correctly. And so that's what I'm going to teach you right now. Number one, you need to make a list of meals that you're going to commonly cook. So I eat the same 3 meals every single day. You could have more if you want more variety, but like it's not necessary. You can just eat the same things every single day. Each meal is going to consist of a source of protein, some source of carbs, and maybe a source of vegetables. Plus, it never takes over like 15 to 20 minutes to cook this stuff. The challenge is going to be eating. So you should be prepared to spend like 45 minutes eating a single meal. I'm not exaggerating. It can take that much time, but and I know that sucks. I know that sounds like it sucks, but this is the kind of sacrifice that we have to make if we want to gain weight. I promise it's so worth it. If that's actually impossible, if that's like you have responsibilities like maybe school, maybe work, what I would do is split that up into 6 smaller bulk meals throughout the day. Something to make this easier would be meal prepping, right? So an easy way to meal prep is prepare enough of the separate ingredients for, let's say, like 5 days out, right? 5 days out of meals. And then what you can do is you can put them in the fridge. And then whenever you need a meal, you take out a source of protein, a source of carbs, and maybe a source of vegetables, and you mix them up and then make that a meal. And so you can have some kind of like variety to them, and then you just eat like 6 a day. If you're curious, here's the diet that I'm eating right now in order to gain a bunch of weight, right? So for breakfast, I normally have 4 scrambled eggs and half a can of black beans. For lunch, I have 2 sweet potatoes and ordinarily some sort of protein, ordinarily about like 2 cups of chicken or 2 chicken breasts, right? And then for dinner, I normally eat, I take that other half of the can of black beans, I cook up 3 cups of brown rice, and then I mix them together in like a saucepan so I can cook those together. And then I add another like source of proteins that'll normally be something like ground beef or perhaps chicken or perhaps like fish like salmon, right? I cook all these in like a saucepan, except for like obviously the rice needs to be pre-cooked in like a pot or a rice cooker or something like that. I also have a protein smoothie that I eat first thing in the morning. So this is important. In order to bulk well, something that's really good for you, a nice little like bulking hack, is to eat within the first 30 minutes of waking, okay? I do this through a smoothie, and I recommend you do this as well. So first thing upon waking, I get out of bed. Actually, the first thing I do is I go to the scale and I weigh myself, and then I log that in MyFitnessPal, which you should be doing, right? We have to log. Everything you track, you will succeed at, and everything you don't track, you won't succeed at. That's just the nature of things. But after that, I'll go into the kitchen and I'll go to the blender and I'll make a smoothie that has 3 cups of milk, a scoop of protein powder, 3 tablespoons of almond butter, and a banana, as well as like any supplements that I need to take for that day, such as creatine, which is also really good for bulking. And also, like on the topic of smoothies, liquid calories are fantastic for getting extra calories in, especially if you're like a hard gainer or you don't like to eat a whole lot, because liquid calories go down way easier. So it's far easier to consume like a 1200 calorie smoothie than like a 1200 calorie plate of food. So definitely like leverage that. Make smoothies whenever you can. Perhaps like drink them rather, between meals. Now, if your bulking is still not working after all that we've talked about, you're still not gaining any weight, what you're going to do is you're going to add a liter of milk per day and increase the number of liters over each week that you don't gain weight until you reach like a gallon of milk a day. That's like GOMAD, right? Gallon of milk a day. You'll gain a lot of weight from that. But basically, so it's like you can also add it like in that smoothie, right? That counts. So let's say during week 1 you do 1 liter of milk because you weren't gaining any weight before, and then if that's not working, 2 liters of milk each day for week 2 rather, and then 3 liters of milk per day for week 3, up to a gallon. You're gonna stop where you start to gain weight though, right? This isn't ideal because drinking a lot of milk will increase your body fat, right? So it's not the best way to gain weight. You will gain body fat in addition to lean mass, but it's definitely going to work. If like you really cannot bulk, then we got to do what we got to do. You could possibly reduce training like I'm doing for a short period of a few weeks. So I'm doing something called Occam's Protocol right now, which is actually comes from this book right here, The 4-Hour Body by Timothy Ferriss. What it has me doing is reducing the frequency of my workouts to like once every 2 to 3 days. And so it's like one short, intense workout that stimulates muscle growth. And then it's like several rest days to kind of let those processes do their job. It's up to you if you want to have that much rest. Like it's a very small amount of exercise, and like I don't know if I'd recommend it to everyone, but you could try doing that if you really can't gain weight, and perhaps that would help for you. It's also like if you don't work out every day, it's a certain number of calories that you would have been burning added to your diet, right? So you don't have that period of burning like 600 to 800 calories or something like that. I think the real key with this is you have to stimulate hypertrophy, and to do this, I would normally make sure all of my sets are like 10 plus reps or 7 plus reps for like really heavy training, because I think anything less than that just isn't ideal for hypertrophy, right? So make sure that first of all, and then importantly, I would go into absolute failure as often as you possibly can. So if your set is 10 reps, perhaps do 10 and then continue on until you fail completely. And by fail completely, I mean what you're going to do is you're going to not just like, I can't lift anymore, and so I'm going to get my spotter to put it back. I mean, you're going to try and push it millimeter by millimeter until you literally physically can't anymore. Like the weight like drops back down. For example, if we're on like dumbbell incline press, right? I would do my 10 reps, and then I would go until the weight literally like I can't push it up anymore, and then it slowly drops and I can't even like hold it at the bottom anymore. That's how far I would go. For bench press, I would tell my spotter, you should have a spotter, by the way, if you're going to failure on everything. I would tell my spotter, literally don't touch the weight until it goes so far down that it touches my chest. I would do my 10 reps, and then on the last rep that I know I'm gonna fail at, I would still try to push it up, still try to get it, right? And sometimes I can get like another rep in there before I fail. Like I can surprise myself, right? And then on that like half rep that I fail, instead of having the spotter touch it and like lift it up, I would slowly push as hard as I can, holding it up until eventually it hits my chest, and then the spotter can lift it up and rack it. So that is absolute failure. There's a massive difference between like normal failure, it's like, I can't push anymore, okay, I'm gonna drop the dumbbells, I'm gonna drop the weight, and like really pushing yourself till absolute failure. Besides all that, I did mention creatine. So I think creatine is fantastic for weight gain and muscle gain. I don't think it's necessary per se if you're trying to get like jacked and aesthetic physique, stuff like that, or even like bulking. I don't think it's really necessary, but it is a very, very useful tool, and so you should probably consider like doing that if you're entering kind of a bulk season, right? Bulk season of your life. Try creatine. I am doing 3 other supplements for this. Actually, it's this protocol, right? One is this. I'm not recommending any of these, by the way. I'm just like, this is something I'm taking. It's kind of experimental. This is alpha lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic acid, according to the book, let me see if I can explain this in kind of like a bro science way. So you know how you eat a calorie, right? You eat a calorie, and basically it has the choice to go to either fat or muscle mass, right? Alpha lipoic acid makes it more likely to go to muscle mass than fat. So, you know, that could be a valuable tool when you're eating a lot. You're going to gain a lot of weight, but you want to kind of like, obviously you want more of that to go to lean mass than fat. I'm also taking this, Cissus. I'm taking 2,400 milligrams 3 times per day. So that's 3 times 2,400 milligrams. This apparently has fat loss effects as well as lean mass gain effects, according to the book. Like, all this stuff is experimental, so I don't know if I'm recommending any of this to you. I'm also taking L-glutamine, or I was rather. At the beginning of this protocol, it has me loading with L-glutamine, which is traditionally used for intestinal repair, but for this protocol, it was used for like food absorption. So we wanted to increase food absorption to maximize how much food I was absorbing through the diet. So yeah, in case you're curious, those are the 3 plus creatine I'm taking right now for this protocol. I don't think any of those are necessary, but if you want to try them out, like, maybe do so. Do your own research for sure. Don't listen to just some random guy on the internet. But there's that. Yeah. But in case you're wondering, like, what is the most important thing that I can possibly do for bulking? It's definitely tracking everything and getting your numbers right. That is 100% of it. Get your macros right, and you are going to gain weight for sure. As well as, of course, like, track your weight every single morning, so you always have it on the forefront of your mind that you're bulking, and you're going to be more like consistent with your meals and stuff like that. Oh, that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. Consistency, okay? So without consistency, this whole thing doesn't matter. If you're inconsistent, let's say you eat a lot one day and then you eat very, very little the second day. That's only going to average out to like a medium amount of food for both days. So you won't gain any weight. Of course you won't, right? You have to be consistent. The amount of consistency that you apply to this is like a multiplier for how much results you're going to get. So you have to be consistent. If you aren't consistent, none of this stuff matters. So get into a routine where you can really organize and structure your life to make it easy to be consistent, right? Maybe that's setting alarms for different meals. Maybe that's like understanding when you're going to be busy, and then like, you know, organizing your work. So, okay, I have time for lunch, I have time for dinner, I have time for breakfast, stuff like that. More can be gained through short, consistent bursts than trying to be inconsistent over like years. That's what I was trying to do over the 4 years. I was making the mistake of honestly just like being very, very inconsistent with my meals, not really locking in. But then like during short periods where I did lock in, that's where I would make the most lean mass gain. So it's extremely important that you're consistent. If you got value from this video, there's something you can do which is a win-win for both of us, which is to scroll down and click the subscribe button. I win because you get a new subscriber, and you win because anytime I have a new insight, learn something new, or try something new, as I'm constantly doing, I can make a video and directly give you value. Thank you so much for watching. Go do that right now. Top link in the description is my full program. That's all of my knowledge on lifting from these like past 4 years. So if you got value from this video, if you like this video, I can't even tell you how much you're gonna like that. So you should probably click that and go check it out. Thank you so much, and have an amazing day. Bye.